Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We'll give everybody a second to get in here. I am a little early by a few minutes. So we'll just wait for everyone to come in. Welcome, Janice. Welcome, welcome. A lot of people jumping in. Good morning. We're just getting ready for crochet class. Anybody who would like to stay is welcome. We do this once a week from 8 to 10 on Tuesday mornings. Good morning, good morning, good morning. These are the items that we're going to work on making today. Oh. Going to try and keep an eye on the comments today and help everybody out. We are going to work on a knit project, which I'm not going to make you wait Tuesday to Tuesday to work on this. I'm going to go live every day this week. I want to get a little consensus once class gets started. Probably have everybody send me a message as to what time works well for you for the live, because I can do the live 3 or 4 different times during the day and work on the sweater. But good morning, good morning. I'm not going to start until 8. We still got a few more minutes. But yes, everybody's coming in. Good morning, good morning. Crocheting and knitting, my spot at your spot. Don't have to leave the house to go to class. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Everybody got their coffee ready this morning. If anybody is here for class, give me a little hey in the comments. Try to get used to everybody's names. We've got a couple more minutes, but we might go ahead and get started. I'm not sure if Maria's here yet. I think she said she'd be here at 8:30, but that's okay. And I can't remember who it was that had said they wanted to do a sweater. If this was you, yeah, coffee. I'm still on my first cup, about halfway through. I sip. I'm a coffee sipper. I got a nice little coffee warmer that keeps it nice and warm for me. But we're going to go ahead and jump right in today. These are the 2 things that we will be working on today. This one's going to be a long-term project. And like I said, I will do a live every day. I'll take a poll in class today and see what time works for everybody. And I'll try to make it to where, you know, everybody can fade in or fade out as they want to, kind of overlap those times. But this is the comfiest cardigan. I do have the link for that. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to look at it. It is a free pattern on Pinterest. It does have a printable PDF paid pattern that you can purchase that doesn't have any ads in it, but this is free on Ned and Nini's website. So we're going to set this to the side for now. Let me bring that back up. Ooh. Set this to the side for now because we're going to start on the crochet project first. I had showed this the last class that we had, and we did not get to it because we were doing the dishcloth. This is a corner to corner. I'm going to show you simply the basics of a corner to corner, which you can use to make coasters. You can use to make kitchen hot pads. If you do use it for heated items, like setting pots and pans or a hot dish on, you're going to want to use a cotton yarn. Otherwise, anything else can singe and burn. Cotton will withstand the heat. So if you're using it for anything like that, you'd want to use cotton yarn. But other than that, I had suggested worsted weight yarn with the hook that's recommended on the yarn label. And I should have pulled the yarn label over here so that I can show you that on there. I know a lot of people are new to crochet and knit, so I'm going to kind of go over this a couple of times on the yarn that you purchase. And of course, I had suggested Red Heart worsted weight yarn. Some of the Dollar Trees are carrying yarn as well now. But on your yarn label, you're going to see the weight of the yarn. Worsted weight is a size 4. It'll give you the crochet hook size that you need, that's recommended for this yarn, and also the knitting needle size. Plus it'll tell you you can wash it. This is, you can wash it and dry it, do not iron. But that's acrylic yarn. Each label will tell you how to care for that specific yarn. So if you have any questions on how to wash the product that you made, just refer back to the yarn label and it'll give you the directions. But yes, the worsted weight yarn, and it's a size 9 or IUS crochet hook for that. I use a smaller one simply because I like a little tighter project, and if you want a tighter project, you can use a smaller one. But when I started class, I just said to get the recommended hook for that yarn. That way you don't put too much into trying this out if you don't like it. Hey, home hooking, how are you? How are you this morning? But I'm going to show you the corner to corner quickly, and again we'll go over how to do the slip knot the way that I tie it on. A lot of people say, oh, that's easy, or some people just tie it on. You can tie it onto the crochet hook if that's what you normally do. But I find out that if it doesn't work out and I pull it back out, I have a knot that I have to try and get out. This is a slip knot and it'll come out. Just give it a pull. Wrap the yarn around your 2 fingers. Make an X on the back. Flip your hand over to the other side and I hold it just loosely like that. I put my crochet hook in with the hook side down so I can grab this second one. Pull it through my fingers. Give it a little twist like that. Let go of everything and tighten it up. And this will slip right on up. And if you pull your hook out and just pull it, it comes right out. So there's your little slip knot on your crochet hook. Normally for any of the beginners, I will hold the yarn over this finger, hold my tension with this because you don't want it loose. It'll make your loops too big. And I hold my work with these 2 fingers. Just to give you an idea of how some people hold it. It's not one right way, whatever becomes comfortable for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to work 5 chains. A chain is a stitch in crochet. It gives you a line to work your project on. So what you do for a chain is you grab the yarn up here with your hook and you pull it through the loop that's on the crochet hook. And that's considered a chain. We're going to do 5 of those. There's 5. Now we're going to count down 2. There's little V's here that make this stitch. We're going to go to the 3rd stitch from the crochet hook. So this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. We're going to do a double crochet in this hook. So we're going to, or in this stitch, so we're going to yarn over and go into the stitch, yarn over again and pull through, and you're going to have 3 loops on your crochet hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through 2 at a time, and that is a double crochet. Now you're going to go over to the next chain. This is the space you just worked in. This is the next chain. You're going to do another double crochet. Yarn over into your stitch, yarn over and pull through. Again, 3 on your crochet hook. You're going to pull through 2 at a time. So yarn over, there's 1, and there's 2. Another double crochet. We're going to do 1 more in this last stitch right here. Checking my camera, making sure that I'm staying in frame and that you guys can see what I'm talking about. Now, when you do corner to corner, if you do a graph like this, normally it's graphed out and each pixel represents a color. This little square right here represents 1 pixel on your corner to corner graph. So this will help you read your corner to corner graphs. And these are actually worked corner to corner. So as we go, it's going to get wider. And the rows are going to be worked back and forth this way. Okay, set this back off to the side. Now, from this point, we are going to chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Normally I do half doubles when I do this, but I'm doing it a little bit bigger so you can see. Again, we're going to go down to the 3rd chain from the hook, and we are going to do 3 double crochets, 1 in each stitch. So we're going to yarn over and go into the 1st stitch, do a double crochet, yarn over, go down into the next stitch, another double crochet. We're going to yarn over and go into the next stitch, and there's a 3rd double crochet. Now we need this to come together, so what we have to do is we're going to take this one here, the first one we did, and we are going to flip it up like this, and we are going to attach right into the space that was created when we did our first double crochet right here. You should be able to lay your crochet hook on there and feel right straight through to your finger. We're going to work in that hole. We're going to do a slip stitch. So we're going to go right into that hole, and we're going to yarn over, which is grabbing your yarn here, and we're going to pull it through that hole so that we have 2 on our crochet hook. We're going to take that and continue on through the one that's on the hook so that we have 1 left. Now you're going to have something that looks like this. We're going to repeat that same process of chain 5 and 3 double crochets starting at the 3rd chain from the hook. So we are going to go ahead and chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? No, sorry, I got you doing wrong. Take that back out. We have to chain 2 at this point because we got to get over to this side here. So we're going to build a square right here on top of this one. So we're going to chain 2. And we're going to do double crochets in that same space right there. So yarn over, put your hook in that same hole where you just did your slip stitch, and double crochet. 1, 2, and a 3rd one, 3. And you'll have something that's starting to look like a little set of steps. Now we're going to continue on. We're going to do this square about 5 by 5. So that'd be 5 squares up and 5 squares over. So we're going to continue on here with the chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to go into the third chain and do a double crochet. And the next stitch, double crochet. And then we're going to do one more double crochet in the last stitch. And then you're going to have something that looks like this. So again, at this point, oh, Witchy doesn't like C to C. At this point, we're going to flip it again. So this part here that we have done here, we're going to turn up. And we are going to find that little space here. Just lay your crochet hook on there and you'll find that little space that was created when you made your first double crochet. And you're going to slip stitch. Pull through and then pull all the way through here. Okay. This I moved just to get it out of the way so you can see what I'm working with now. At this point, this is what it looks like. Okay. So I just moved this out of the way because as I'm grabbing the yarn, I'll grab pieces of this and I don't want to do that. So we're going to chain 2. I said be quiet. And we're going to do, give me just a second. I'm going to have to put them out of here. Come on. Come on, let's go. Come on. Come on. Yes, come on. No. Come on. Come on. Out. Come on. Out. Now. Out. Let's go. Out. Out. Sorry about that. My son's probably upstairs stirring around and they just bark at everything. But at this point, this is what we have, and we've done the chain 2. Again, I just fold this back to have it out of the way. We're going to put 3 double crochets in that space where we put the slip stitch. Okay, yarn over, go into your space, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 of those loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops again. Going to do that 2 more times in that same space. If I'm going too fast for anybody, say hey, and I will show you again. Okay, and now this is what it looks like we have. So we are going to slip stitch into this next space here. I'm going to find that space. Just lay your hook on there, and there's the, sometimes it's a little finicky. There it is. And we're going to slip stitch into that space. And we're going to chain 2. Then we're going to do 3 double crochets in that space. I think because I'm doing the doubles, I should have done 6. So I think when we do this, we're going to do chain 6. This is making that space awful tiny. And this is what you have. Looks like steps. At this point, we're going to go ahead and chain 6 this time. Give us enough space to find that gap there. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, and we are going to go 4 down from the hook now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because we only need 3 double crochets. This is the space that we're creating, that we're working in right now, in between this chain and the stitch we're about to make. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4th one. There's 1 double crochet. Go down to the next stitch. There's 2 double crochets. We yarn over, do 1 more. There's 3, and this is what we have now. Again, you're going to flip this piece up, and then you're going to slip stitch into that gap right there. Okay. Yeah, C to C, Brooks. How about it? Now, I fold these down out to get them out of the way because I get to going and I grab all kinds of thread that's in my way. So we're going to chain 2, and we're working then in that same space you did your slip stitch in. 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now we're going to unfold those back up here, and we're going to slip stitch into this next one. It's all just repetitive, chain 6 and 3 double crochets, one starting in the 3rd chain from the one on the hook, and connecting and chain 2 and starting that process over again. So we're going to chain 2 again, go into that same space here, double crochet. This can be used to do all kinds of things. You can build these squares out to where it's in the shape of a jacket and stitch it together. You can take and as far as laying out a jacket pattern, I hope I put the link in there. I'm not sure if I did. Going to chain 2 and 3 more double crochets in this space. I can pull one up real quick here on my tablet and show you. I had talked about how to make, and this is what we have. It's starting to look like stair steps, but as you see, our rows are worked this way. Another thing about counting corner to corner rows, until you start decreasing, you can use these squares to count how many rows you've already done. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to show you this from the side because it's kind of hard to see it flat like this. But these kind of ripple, and you can count 1, 2, 3, 4. How many rows you have. This will only work, and you can count either side, it doesn't matter. 1, 2, 3, 4. This will only work until you start decreasing, which I will show you after we do the next row. I'm going to do one more row, and then I will show you how the decreases are done. So I'm going to put my hook back in here, and this is where we left off, where it looked like this. We're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Let me pull out some of this string so I don't have to fight with it and stop. Now we're going to yarn over so we can do our double crochet, and we're going to go 4 chains from the hook. You can't count the one on the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to do our double crochet in that 4th chain. Next 2 stitches again. This one here, double crochet. And again, double crochet. If anybody misses any of my lives, I do post them to YouTube. You can see them. You won't see the comments, but I'll try to make sure I read everybody's questions so they know what question I'm answering. I'll do my best. Now we're going to flip this up again. This gets flipped this way. And we are going to slip stitch that into the space that was made here. So let's slip stitch. Chain 2, and then 3 double crochets in that same space. So get a hold of this a little better, get that out of the way. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, bring the rest of this back up, slip stitch into the square next to it, chain 2, No, my YouTube, I do have a link in my bio for my YouTube. It'll take you right to it. It is the Yarnologist on YouTube. And I'm also on Instagram, the Yarnologist as well. Those all should be links in my bio where you can go directly to that. So 1, 2, 3. We're going to chain, slip stitch into this one, I'll chain. And we're going to chain 2. And then we are going to double crochet in that space. And then we got one more slip stitch. And we are going to, oh, I got an alert on here. I don't know what that's for. Home hooking, are you still in here? My little host button was going crazy. What does that mean? Oh, this crochet hook is just a regular Susan Bates hook with a gripper on it. Yeah, it's just a, I have another one over here. You can get these on Amazon. You can buy them at Michael's and Joann's. It's just a gripper. One's got a large hole for larger hooks, and one's got a small hole for smaller hooks. My smaller hooks, I actually have to put a little bit of tape around the handle to get them to stay on. But they're just, you know, like rubbery handles that you can put on to make the grip a little bigger. It helps, for me, it doesn't mess with my carpal tunnel as much if I have a bigger grip instead of such a small grip. All right, and we're going to continue on with the 3 double crochets in that space where you did the slip stitch. Okay, now at this point we have 5 rows. You can also count it this way: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up either side or straight across until you start decreasing. Now we're going to start decreasing now. So we don't want to add another square over here like we've been doing. We want to get over to this spot right here and put a square right here. So what we're going to do, yes, it is super helpful to have that grip. It helps a lot. And you ought to check out Get Crafty Brooks. She's coming out with some hooks that have the bigger grips on them. She's going to be coming out with those soon, so check her out too. Throwing you a shout out there, Brooksy. So what we're going to do is we are going to turn this work to where it's this way now, because we want to come over to here. So in these 3 stitches here, you can see the 3 little holes that were created by the stitch. We are going to slip stitch in those, 1 in each one. You're putting some up today? Yeah, go check her out. Get Crafty Brooks. Are you on Etsy, hon? So we're going to go into this first one right here and slip stitch. Just pull a loop through. And then we're going to continue right straight through that one. And we're going to go through the next one and slip stitch. And then we are going to go to the last one and slip stitch. Okay, so now it looks like this. So we're going to turn it up this way. Yes, this works great for arthritic hands. I actually have some Furls hooks that have a teardrop shaped hook. I'll have to show some of those in a later class. But yeah, they help out a lot. Oh, so you have a link in your bio for your stuff. All right, yeah, check out Get Crafty Brooks. She's coming out with some really neat hooks. But at this point, we're going to turn our work this way. And we are going to continue on with the chain 2, just as we did before. And I'm going to move all of this extra work out of the way so I don't catch it. And we're going to work in this space right here. So let me get a hold of my yarn again. We're going to do 3 double crochets in this space. 2 and 3. No, this yarn right here that I'm working with, it's just a peach. I just caked it up on my yarn winder. And this other one here, that's for our knitting project today. But yeah, you do 3 double crochets in that space, and then you're just going to continue on like you were before. You're going to come over to the next square and find that last little space there and slip stitch. Okay, I'm going to tuck this out of the way here and do chain 2, and we're going to work in that space again. Pull some more of this out here. I need to make a little station over there to hold my yarn tight so that I can give it a yank and it not come rolling across the table. Crafter's dilemmas, right? Okay. And then we're going to slip stitch into this next space here to connect them together. Chain 2. 3 more double crochets in that same space. Well, thank you. Yeah, I normally I will cake up my yarn before I use it, because sometimes when you purchase it, you know, you come along knots and stuff, and I'd rather have it separated out and not have knots in the middle of my project and have to figure out in the middle of the project how I'm going to hide it or cut it out. And it's just, yeah, I cake it up to avoid all of that. I've come along some that's been cut 3 or 4 times in the middle, and I don't know how in the heck. So, yeah, I like to just avoid all of that and be able to just work straight on through. And we're going to come here to this last one, and it's going to look like this before we connect it. Okay. And we are going to do a slip stitch to connect it into this one. And it should look like this. Now we are going to turn our work. I see Bird Red, good morning, how are you? And now we're going to turn our work this way because we want to come over here to this square. This is another corner to corner decrease. You're going to work right up this edge. So we're going to turn it and we're going to slip stitch up these 3 stitches. Glad I used this yarn because you can really see the stitches in this lighting. So this worked out really well. I'll do one more. So that's 3 up the edge, and you can see how it's already starting to come back in together. So now again we're going to chain 2, and this is all repetitive. All if you're looking for patterns, it's all repetitive. 3 double crochets in that space that was created there when you did your stitches. Again, find that last space there. Your hook should go straight in pretty easily. And a slip stitch, chain 2. I can't remember who last week had said something about, and we're going to do 3 double crochets in here, had said something about wanting to make a sweater. Are you here in class today? Because we are going to start that today. And then we're going to, again, slip stitch. So you connect your squares together. Chain 2. And 3 double crochets in the same space where you did your slip stitch. I'm looking and crocheting at the same time to see if, I don't know if it was, I want to say Willette. Miss Davis, are you here today? All right, and see, we are coming back together into a square. So we're going to turn this. And we are going to do those 3 slip stitches again, 1, 2, and 3 in those stitches to get back up to where we want to put our next little square. Next week, we'll build on what we are already learning. So next week, I will show you a graph and show you how to do this, but we will do a simple stripe at first because doing this, it's a lot and it might discourage you. Now we're going to chain 2 again and 3 double crochets in this gap here. It might discourage you from wanting to go on further, so I'm not going to plunge you all in at one time. We'll go a little bit at a time. Again, this space here we're going to slip stitch, and then we are going to chain 2 and then 3 double crochets in the same space where you did your slip stitch. And this is why I fold this over, because that gets in my way and I end up catching a piece of the yarn from there, pulling back through, so I just move it out of my way. You might find an easier way to move it out. Okay, we got, I don't know what this is. Let's see what this is. Oh, let's host a live with others. Is somebody trying to jump into the live as a multi-guest? Because that keeps going off and I don't know why. Yeah, we're doing a C2C today. Now at this point, this is what it looks like. We only got one more little square to do, so we need to turn our work this way. And we were going to, again, slip stitch up those 3 stitches. And I was discussing how a C2C can be used to make shapes. I'll probably have to show you on a smaller scale. Again, chain 2 and then 3 double crochets in the space up at the top. And then we'll connect it together with a slip stitch into this one here. Now at this point, if you've done a blanket and you're at this point, you can go around the outer edge with a border. They have that little elephant. You can make little elephant borders, fringy borders, just a single crochet border around. If you want to do a lacy border or a scallop border, you can do it from this point. This was just to give you it's a distraction. Okay. Thank you. Oh, recommendations. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to miss. If anybody has the ability to multi-guest and they need help, please send me a multi-guest. If I don't see the multi-guest, put it in the comments, because I don't know actually where it shows up when it goes off if someone wants to come in. Multi-guest, ask your question. Show me what you have. If you have an issue, I can help you that way. If you can't multi-guest, please, in the comments, hey, I'm having an issue with this. I'm trying to keep up with the comments as I go. But I want to help everybody who wants to learn. So, any questions on the corner to corner at this point? We're only about half hour into class today too. But I'll pull up something here. I'm going to go ahead and take this off. That way I can use this to show when we come back next week. And I just chain 2, cut my yarn, and then just use my hook to pull the yarn through, and then just pull that tight. And that'll pull down tight just like that. And then when you weave it in, it's gone. I can show you too. Probably show you when we got more than one color how I weave these in, because I cut that kind of short. But when I weave them in, I come to the square where they're attached to, and I try to come down here by this space where I attach these in and use these stitches here to weave them in. You know, either these here where they're all clustered together, but don't just drag it straight over. I run it up underneath and then in through these. And I can show that, you know, when we do the colors, because you'll be able to see it better with a different color that we're weaving in. So, let me pull this up very quickly, because I don't think that I put the link in here for that. No, I did not. Okay. Leave that there. In Pinterest, I had looked up and I probably linked it or put it in here, but didn't link it. It is called, I know I got it in here. I put Granny Square cardigan layout, and it actually brought up a crocheted rose cardigan that you could actually do. Let me show you this here. You lay the squares out in this fashion and sew them together that way. This line here would be where the back would meet at your neck. You could make granny squares. Oops. Yeah, let's go back out here. Got a little too close to the screen. This would be for these sizes. And I will link this today so that you can find it after class. You can make the granny squares, which we've already taught in class. If you need help with granny squares, I can do a refresher. You can't live without coffee. Which is probably still at the coffee phase this morning. But yeah, these sizes, this is the layout for these sizes. And this is the layout for these sizes. Go on this link and check, and there has to be a gauge for these to make it the proper size. You can see that there's a wider opening on the larger sizes, and that there's more across the back, and there's more in the arms. But you have to make sure that your granny square is of a certain size to be able to do it like this. I might even have to show a way how you can do corner to corner like this, and do a corner to corner graph and turn it into a sweater. So, you know, just the little basics, and you can do all kinds of things with it. I just, sitting here now doing this with you guys, I got the inspiration in my mind, hey, I can turn this into a sweater. You know, you do the back piece to match, you know, but you'd have to have measurements. You would have to have definite measurements. So, and I can show you how to do that as well, but that gets a little bit more into the math aspect of the knitting and the crocheting and all that kind of stuff. But I will link this later today. But on Pinterest, all I did was search granny square cardigan layout, and this came up. And it's a free crochet pattern. So I try not to cause anybody to have to put a whole lot of money out, especially if, you know, you find out, hey, I really don't like this. You don't want to invest a whole lot of money into it. So I've tried to do everything as inexpensive as possible for you guys. Is there anything crochet-wise that anybody in class would like to see? Because last class, you guys kind of said half and half crochet, half knit. And, of course, with this cardigan that we're going to start here, probably shortly, if there's no other crochet otherwise that anybody in class want to see. I'll give a minute just in case the comments are running a little slow. But yeah, the corner to corner, again, it can be used to make a blanket. It makes a really nice warm blanket. You just make it to the width that you want. You just keep going with your rows as we've done it until it's as wide as you want. Because it would, you know, doing it corner to corner, you'd want to measure one side across. and then start decreasing. You can decrease on one side and keep adding on the other and end up with a rectangle and not a square. So you can make a twin size blanket versus keep going square and make a queen size blanket or a full size blanket. Changing colors are really easy. I can show you how to change colors on that as well. We'll do that next week because we're going to do this again, but we're going to do some color change. And if you want to, you crochet, but you're learning. Yeah, I'm still learning. My mother taught me when I was 9, and I am now 51. So I have been doing it for some years, but I'm still learning. I'm still finding new stitches. There is a friend of mine I went to high school with. She does a lot of mosaic designs. She's a pattern designer for the mosaic blankets and stuff. And her work is gorgeous. And I haven't even done that yet. So, once everybody gets into working and if there's anything crochet-wise that you want to see because you're learning or something that you want to learn that you might say, oh, well, I don't know if I want to try that or not because I don't think I can do it by myself. Bring it to class. Send it to me, try to get it to me before Sunday. That way I have time to prep whatever we need, look up whatever I have to look up if it's something that I haven't done. And yeah, some people have done it for a long time, 28 years. What's that? Navy Brett. Yeah. Some people have done it for a long time and, just stick to what they like best and, that's their comfort zone and that's what they do. Some people like me, hi home hooking. Some people like me, we like to push the boundaries a little bit. I like to change things up. I will follow a pattern to a point. I will customize the yarn. Patterns that don't have stripes, I'll put stripes in it. Patterns that are plain, I'll put color work in there, as long as the stitch count matches. So I'm always trying to challenge myself with just a simple little pattern. And some of the patterns aren't quite so simple. So, yeah. But there's all kinds of things you can do. And even my mother has said to me the things that I can do with string, she couldn't even imagine. No, I don't micro crochet. I've seen it. I love it. I've seen people do it with the sewing thread, the embroidery floss with the real tiny. No, my eyesight can't handle it. My hands can't handle it. I don't do the real tiny stuff. It pretty much what I'm teaching you here, even with this corner to corner. We did do it with worsted weight yarn. You can take and do, I have a set of hooks here, and I'll pull these out. You can take what they call cobweb lace. It is really, 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 really fine yarn. And you can use these really, really, really tiny crochet hooks. I don't even know if I can get it to come into focus. That's not going to. These are called steel crochet hooks. And you can do corner to corner in this if you wanted to. Literally. What I'm teaching you, you can take and use any thread. Yeah. I don't know if I got these on Wish. One of them is around here in a coffee cup full of pencils and somewhere. But yeah. You can take the doily thread and you can make a sweater with it. You just have to do the math. What is this here? You have a stitch from a doily project that you can't figure out. Yeah, you just have to tell me what stitch it is, and it might take me a second or two to look it up. My mother does doilies. She loves doilies. Yeah. You know, the whole thing about yarn navy, Brett, going outside your comfort zone. Some yarns are a little harder to pull back when you have to take it out because you don't like it. Some yarns won't work with certain projects. They just won't. You know, if you have to pull it out, you pull it out. It's all trial and error. Crochet and knitting, it's really all trial and error. So, trying to get my... Who was it? I can't see very well. Ashley, you had the doily stitch that you had issues with. Good morning, country girl. Good morning, baby girl. How you doing? Yeah, Ashley, if you want to message me the stitch, I can always do a live after this one. If you give me a chance to look up that stitch, I can come back on at 11 and do another live and help you with that doily stitch. It'll give me time to look it up. Oh, what's the little man doing this morning? Is he being Have? Aggies. Yeah, Aggies. We're going to go ahead and start on with the knitting portion of class today. I don't know if... I hope Maria's in here. Maria, are you in here? And I think it was... I want to say Willette Davis. Maybe it's not Willette. I think it was a W. Davis who had asked about a cardigan last week. I need to write people's names down. And what they want to try and do, because I have a bad memory. Very bad memory. But I did put a link in for the comfiest cardigan. We are going to jump over to that. I will put that was the picture that I had up in the beginning. I'll put that picture back up. Here, and I'll talk a little bit about some of the knitting tools for new knitters. The knitting needles and the things that we knitters use to be able to... I'm waiting for all of this to come up. I need to come back up here a little bit. Yeah, there it is. This sweater here. I've already made one of these sweaters, and the girls that I'm in the group with, we all did the sweaters together. I've actually made 2 of them already. Very easily made. There's not a whole lot of shaping to them. They are an oversized sweater. Sure, I can give you a holler when I get done. You're working on a throw blanket, country girl. Is it knitted or crocheted? And are you new to crocheting and knitting, or crochet? You've been doing it for a while, or are you relatively new? This cardigan goes from, I do believe, let me scroll up here a little bit. I do have a link in my bio for it. It goes from a small all the way up to a 2X. From a 36-inch chest measurement all the way up to a 52-inch. And it is larger. It's an oversized cardigan. You've been crocheting about 4 months. So what I'm going to do is discuss a little bit about knitting, because I really haven't talked about that a whole lot. And I'm going to, this one calls for worsted weight yarn, and it calls for, in case anybody wants to make it and work on it now, I am going to be doing a live every day and working on this sweater in the live every day. I'll take a little consensus, because I don't want you guys, if y'all want to make the sweater along with me, because I'm going to make this one for my mother, I don't want you guys to have to wait around from Tuesday to Tuesday. So when we're doing a big project like this, it's going to take more than just one class. It might take more than a couple weeks to get done. I'll do a live, and if you guys have got it and you're good, we can do a live every day if you want until you get it finished. But I'll work it through with you. But yeah, this calls for, let me see here. So it had a materials list. It called for size 11 knitting needles. I did mine in a size 10 because the 11 just seemed to be too much, too holy, too open. And I wanted it a little more closed. So I used a size 10, and I did the 52 inch because I wear a woman's size 22, 24 top. 20, between a 20 and a 22. Sometimes the 24s, depending on how they're cut. So I did the largest sweater in here. Now, as far as knitting, there's all different kinds of knitting needles that you can get. Normal knitting needles are just straight knitting needles, such as these. These are 10-inch knitting needles. They're in a size 3. They're the ones that I'm going to use with this yarn. This absolutely is not worsted weight yarn. It is a smaller weight yarn. I have a ton of this and I want to get it used up. My mother loves the color red, so I'm going to make this for my mother. But these should be big enough. I would recommend a 14 or a 14 inch. That's just how long they are. These are 10 inches long. They have ones that are 14 inches long. If you need something longer than a 14 inch for a project, you're going to want to go to a circular needle. This just gives you the ability to put a larger number of stitches on instead of having humongous long straight needles, which you wouldn't be able to knit with. Anything past 20 inches long, you're just beating your legs and chest up trying to use. So they did a cable, a flexible cable in between. And these are called circular needles. They have these in sizes from 9-inch all the way to, I have some 60-inch, the Chiagu needles. They are really nice. I love them. But these, I can't remember what these are. These are so old. And normally the size is wrote on the top. These are both a size 3, a US size 3. They also have double pointed needles. These are a size 3 as well. All these needles are all the same size. They're just different forms. These will be used for making gloves, hats, socks. They do have smaller circular needles for making hats and socks with that you can purchase, but these were what they used before they came out with circulars. Double pointed for working in the round. We also have cable needles and knitting. These are for making cables. Morning again. Who was that there? Riri, how are you? And I'm just talking away. I hope I didn't miss too many comments. These needles that I'm holding now. Oh, you used to knit? Well, if you want to pick it back up, I'm here to help you learn. If not, I can help you with the crochet as well. These needles are used for cable needles, for the work where it looks like it's twisted. They come in different sizes. to accommodate the stitching, you know, different size needles. I would use the green one with these. These would be used with the larger size needle for sure because they're definitely bigger than these. Also, we have a knitting needle gauge in case you don't remember what size circulars these are. To use this gauge, you would put it in. If it doesn't go in at all, like the point just barely goes through, it's not that size. It should go right on through. Which, this one here is, if this comes in clear, a size 3, and it also gives the millimeter. You can also check your crochet hooks in here if you need to. You can stick your crochet hook right in there. This is, what is that one? 3.75. That's a size 5. It should go right straight in there. If you've got one that's worn off and you're not sure what size it is, a needle gauge, it'll give you the millimeter so you know what size it is if you need it. This is also for knitting gauge for making sweaters and the such. We are knitting the comfiest cardigan today. Let me put this picture down here. And this was the one that I had suggested last week. It doesn't have, if I can get my tablet to start working now, it wants to be a pain in the butt. Someone had said they wanted to make a sweater last week. So I linked this cardigan. And this is what we're going to work on today. Yeah, anything that you want to learn, knit or crochet, I'm here to help you learn. I'm going to show you how you can use different size yarns. I got to take this away from here because that's messing up my light. The screen went dark. You can substitute different yarns, but you have to do the math and you have to do the gauge. I don't know if everybody's pulled up the pattern who wants to do it. You have to select the size that you want to make based off the finished measurements. You can make it longer if you want to. You can make it shorter if you want to. You just have to make sure that when you do that, you make all the pieces the same length. The sleeves you're going to make to length unless you have a longer arm. You can extend those as well. And it's very easily done. Let me come down here. Based off of what size you want to do, and this is going to be helping you read patterns as well. I don't know if this is well enough for you to see. As they've quoted it here, this is how the numbers that you need are going to be quoted in the pattern. Okay? You can follow along. I'm going to be making the larger size, which I'm going to be, this is the finished chest measurement. Let me scroll this on up here. It's going to be, why are you dragging so slow? It does talk about gauge in here. This one, I don't think you have to be too concerned with it, simply because if you follow what it says, I did drop down a little in needle size because, like I said, it was a little too open for me. I didn't want it to be that open. And I'll come down here and show you this here, if it'll stop. Okay, when we start this, we're going to start with the back panel. And again, we'll be doing a long tail cast on. But if you look here, this is the last number in the parentheses. This is the size for the pattern that I'm going to want to do. You have your small, your medium, your large, your extra large, and your 2X. See how they did that in the parentheses? So if you pick the medium, you're going to want to do these number here, 80. This first number inside the parentheses is for the medium, which was quoted at the top. So that helps you. And as you come down here to the front panel, you're going to see the same thing again. You have to make sure that you're doing the stitch count for the size that you want to do. And there again, I got a little too close and pushed it down. But yeah, small, medium, large, extra large, and 2X. Okay, for anybody who has any issues with reading patterns, I will help you read a pattern. So I'm going to talk a little bit now about choosing different yarns. I'm going to move these needles out of the way so they're not a distraction. Not too far out of the way so that I can't find them. All right. We have been working mostly with worsted weight yarn. You can see that the worsted weight yarn is 4-ply. If you untwist it, it's got, if I can get it to focus in, it's got 4 different plies there. You can probably see that from your yarn at home. This one, as you can tell, it's a good bit thinner than the other one, but that's the yarn that I want to use. The pattern calls for the worsted weight, but I want to use this one. This one's definitely going to give me smaller stitching, so I'm going to have more stitches, and I will show you how we figure that out too. Normally on a pattern at the very bottom it will have finished measurements. Most patterns have them drawn out. Let me see if this one has it in it. I don't know why my tablet's being so slow today. Probably need to clean it up a good bit. Those measurements, finished measurements, will also help you. Why is this not working today? It's being extra special because it knows I want to use it. The finished measurements at the bottom are normally drawn out like the pattern is laid out. And now it's froze up. This thing's going to drive me crazy today. That's also used for blocking. Blocking is when you take and stretch the piece out to the finished measurements on blocking mats with blocking pins. If you have a design or lace work, basically lace work, it opens up the lace work pattern so you can really see it. Blankets I don't normally block. Shawls I do. Sweaters I do because you got to block it to size before you sew it together. Because once you sew it together, now my tablet don't want to come back on. But I can talk about this other portion while I'm waiting for this to come back on. The finished measurements. This is going to come out one size when you cast on 44 stitches. This is going to come out a different size because this is not going to be as wide. Plus, we're doing a difference between, let me show you the needle that it calls for you to do it with. But there's no way I could do it with this yarn because it would look like a spider web. It wants you doing it on this size needle. And I'm going to do it on this size needle. And I'll show you how we calculate that so that we can do it with that yarn. So that way, if you want to use a specific yarn for a project, but it's not the yarn that the project calls for, you know how to substitute the other yarn and still do the same project. Let me get this to come back up because I need those finished measurements so I can tell you how to do it. I'm going to go this way because for some reason That one was just not. And this pattern that we're working on is from Mama in a Stitch. I want to give her proper credit for the comfiest cardigan. Let me get through here. This is scrolling a lot better. I think it was the fact that it was just that link that I was trying to go through, and it wasn't going very well. Get down here to the bottom. Already on that. Okay, what it does is it shows you this here. This gives you the total inches around. This gives you the length of your sleeve. And this here will give you the length of the front and back panels from top to bottom. So what I have to do now is take this 52 inches and divide it in half. So you've got half in the front and half in the back. I'm going to do this math off to the side here. 52 inches divided in half is 26. So we want 26 inches in the back and 26 inches in the front. Now, because the front's open, we got to take that 26 inches in the front and divide it in half. So that's 13 inches each front, because you got a left front and a right front in your pattern. So we have to figure out how many stitches, because on this label it is not in English. So to figure out how many stitches per inch, you can do a gauge. And when you do gauge, you're going to do it in pattern. So I'm going to avoid the rib because the rib's going to bunch up anyway. I just want to find out how many stitches are in an inch with this yarn and the needle that I want to use. Okay, because I can use a larger size needle. It's just going to make my work more open, like lacy. If I want it tight, I want to use a smaller needle, but not too tight, because you'll make your project feel like cardboard. So you can't take worsted weight yarn and use a size 00 needle, because it just won't work out. It'll be so stiff you won't be able to do anything with it. But to do that, we have to cast on, and we have to do a 4" by 4" square. So we can do it that way, or we can take this yarn, wrap it. You can loosely wrap it, because normally when you knit, it's going to be loose, because you're going to do this anyway. And this is, again, is a guesstimation doing it this way. Okay, there's multiple different ways you can do it. But this gives you wraps per inch, which you can look at other. You want to do at least 1.5 inches. That way when you put your ruler up to it to go to measure it. Where's my other tape measure? It's over here somewhere. I'll knock everything off of here trying to get a tape measure out. This is going to be fun to work with, but I couldn't find my flat one. But you would do, and you would measure, and that would tell you the wraps per inch. And then you could go from there, look up your wraps per inch, try to find gauge on that. But it's best when you're making wearable sweaters or anything to go ahead and do a gauge swatch. So I'm not going to, well, I better do a gauge swatch, because I've got to figure out what I need to do here. Unless, let me check and see something here. I'm doing long tail cast on just very quickly. I'll show you guys that again here in a minute. Let me see here. Oh, I know I got some over here that's the same. Close to the same. That's sport weight. That doesn't have an English label on it. This one. What is this? All right. That is actually a size 1. And 7 to 8 stitches equals an inch. 7 to 8 stitches. So, knowing that information, let me put this down here for you guys so you can see where I have all those little cardigans at. Over here. Okay, I'm going to show you the formula to figure this out. I'll run off with my pen again. Okay. Let's say 8 stitches equals 1 inch. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I'm just writing that up there for mine. We have a piece that's 26 inches. 26 inches. And we need 2 front pieces at 13 inches. Okay? So if we have 8 stitches per inch and we need 26 inches, we have to take that 26 times 8. And that will give us our stitch count for our back piece. Because our back piece needs to be 26 inches across. This is for calculating substituting yarn. If you're staying with worsted weight, you're going to follow the pattern. This is the formula that you would use if you want to substitute yarn. Okay? You would have to take your finished measurement and times it by the stitch count on the yarn label per inch. And that would give you your stitch count that you would need for that. Same thing with the 2 fronts. We need 13 inches and it's 8 stitches per inch. That would give us our stitch count to start off with. If you want to substitute a thinner or thicker yarn than what the project calls for. If you want to use a larger needle, you would need to do gauge to make sure that you're going to finish up with that measurement, because if not, your wearable is either going to be too big or too small. So gauge is important when you're doing clothing. But I am going to show you how to do the long tail cast on. You know the number of stitches you need to cast on for the size sweater that you want to make. And we will work this pattern together. I hope that everybody's in here that wants to make the pattern or wants to make the sweater. I still will be on here. Okay, we're going to do a long tail cast on, and I need to figure this out very quickly so I know how many stitches to cast on. Okay, I got a lot of stitches to cast on. All right. So I'm not going to use these. It is calling for me to cast on 208 stitches. You guys are going to cast on for that back panel depending on what size you're making. Small is going to be 72 stitches. The medium is going to be 80 stitches. The large is going to be 88 stitches. The extra large is 96 stitches. And the 2XL is 104 stitches. We're going to use the long tail cast on. I'm going to need bigger needles than these, so I'm setting these off to the side for now. And I'm going to use my circular needle to cast on. You guys can see this just as well on the circular as you can on the straights. It's going to go the same way, but I just got to make sure that I have enough of this for 208 stitches. Another way you can do this so that you don't have to end up cutting yarn, you can use from the inside of the skein and the outside at the same time and cast your stitches on. And that is probably what I'm going to do with this one. Actually, I think I'm going to pull another skein out here and just do 2 of them. Yeah. Let's just do it single. We got enough pulled out here. We should have 208 stitches. All right, what you're going to do, you have your working yarn to this side, the end that is loose that has the cut end to the left. You're going to take your fingers like this, and you're going to drape your yarn over top of your fingers as such. Okay? The rest of your hand, these 2 strings will come down like this, and you can just hold them like that. Making sure to keep your yarn out away from your hand. Keep it out here. And we're going to take our knitting needle, and as you see it, we're going to put it down in here. Okay? Bump it up against your yarn here, and you're going to twist it so your needle is facing up instead of facing down. You put your needle in, it went down. And you're going to twist it so that it's facing up. That is 1 stitch. Okay? Now, to do the second stitch, we are going to go up the thumb, which goes underneath this edge here. Okay? Then we are going to come over, and we're going to go behind this one. Can you see here that we're going behind it? Down the finger, which brings it behind that yarn. And then we're going to go back down the thumb, which takes it back down the middle. Okay? I drop my thumb and tighten the stitch up. Not real tight, because you want it to be able to slide easy without resistance up and down your knitting needle. Isa Coco, how are you? I saw your granny squares. I forgot to link the layout for the granny square, but I did show it on here. So I will put that link in there so that you can pull it off of Pinterest. It is, I typed in specifically granny square cardigan layout, and it shows you how to lay out the granny squares per size that you want for the cardigan. Hey Lordy, how you doing today? Check out that pattern for the granny square cardigan layout. You'll have to make sure that your granny squares are to size that she has planned in there. Just measure it with a little tape measure. They might have to be blocked, which means you'll have to dampen them down with a little spray bottle. Actually put them down on a blocking mat, block them out to size after you follow the directions for her size granny squares. Or if it says, you know, they have to be 8 inches wide, you can make your own granny squares. Just make sure they're 8 inches wide. And then lay them out in that cardigan layout pattern and stitch them together. And you have a sweater. But we're casting on stitches for the comfiest cardigan. I just showed everybody how to break down the formula if you want to substitute a thinner or a bulkier yarn for a project. And we're casting on stitches right now for the comfiest cardigan. I am substituting yarn because I have a ton of this and I'd like to use some of it up. Plus my mother really doesn't like heavy sweaters. So again, casting on, I've got 3 stitches on here. We're going to go up the thumb, down the finger, down the thumb. I'll bring it up a little bit closer. You go up the thumb, which takes you behind the outer thread, in between the 2 that you have crossed around your thumb. Then you're going to go down your finger, which is going to take you on the back side of this inner thread here. And then when you bring it back over and come down the thumb, that actually brings your loop back down through. And then again, I just drop my thumb and pick it back up and snug up that. But again, make sure that these will slide without a whole lot of resistance, or you're going to have issue getting these. This might be for you. It might, this part here is a little crazy, having to cast on like this. There are other methods to casting on. You can do a crocheted cast on. Which is called a provisional. Well, there's also a provisional cast on, which leaves your live stitches in case you're sewing together like an infinity scarf and you don't want a seam. It just leaves your live stitches open on this end from the start. But yeah, we did the crochet portion and we're almost halfway through the knitted portion. I'm not sure. Sphinx for life, you like knitting? I like knitting too. I prefer it. Knitting. The bane of your entire existence. Lady Dutch, you don't like knitting? Yeah, I like knitting. I just find so much peace in knitting. And the fact that the knitting doesn't hurt my carpal tunnel as much. But yeah, casting on stitches here for the comfiest cardigan. I will be working this in the lives probably every day of the week. So you've been crocheting since you were 10. Yeah. My mother taught me to crochet first. I was 9 years old. I made chains, all different colors, and I made them long enough to streamer around my room. It looked like a Mardi Gras parade going on in there. But yeah, my mother didn't push me to learn anything more until I came to her and said, okay, I want to do something more. And she taught me how to do granny squares. She taught me how to do the crochet ripple blanket, the zigzag blankets. And she taught me how to knit. And I've went past I've went past her comfort zone. There's things I do that she doesn't even like to do. So, but, yeah, carpal tunnel really does, you know, it works on you. But yeah, I'm casting this on here and I got myself tangled up in here. I'm tangled up in here. All right, come on. We want you out of there. There we go. Put this down over here. But yeah, I'll have to count these again at the end. But you go up the thumb, down the finger, down the thumb. Just for everybody who's just coming in that wants to see, I have my working yarn to the right. I have the end that's cut to the left. I drape that over these two fingers. And then I collect up the rest so that it's, you know, almost like a slingshot. You can catch it up like a slingshot. It's almost like a slingshot. And then you're going to go to the fatty part of your palm and go up your thumb, which takes you inside the outer thread. Then you're going to go down the finger, which takes you outside the inner thread, and then back down the thumb, which brings that through there and makes your loop. I drop my thumb, and when I go to pick up the string again from the outside, it just snugs it up. Well, I've done some knitting. Can't really see these names. Yeah, you say you have to pay attention for knitting, that crochet is mindless. I've done some mindless knitting where it's just knitted garter stitch or knitted stockinette stitch, and I can sit and stare at the TV and not even look at my hands once, not turning rows and everything else. I can just stare at the TV. But yes, there is some other stuff with knitting that you just have to pay attention to. Lady Dutch, your mom taught you the basics? Oh, a king-size mandala blanket. I bet you that's gorgeous. I saw some of those crocheted ones. I want to do some of those too. So once we get the class advanced enough, or if anybody's already here that wants to do one of those mandala blankets, I would love to do a crocheted mandala blanket. Yeah, yeah, definitely, for sure. Anything you want to see, anything you want to learn, anything you need help with. You know, that's what I'm here for. Yeah, I like to knit. I like to knit. I'm working on a couple other things, and I can show you some of the stuff I'm working on. I'm really enjoying doing lives and sharing my stuff because, you know, I like to share my work. I wished I had a little art gallery that I could put it all up in. Oh, you're learning to spin. I would love to spin. Not love to spin. I would like to see it. I would like to see it go from sheep to Hank. I really would. I think that would be just absolutely amazing. But yeah, we are doing the long tail cast on here. I don't know how many people are working on this cardigan. If anybody is working on this cardigan in class, give me a holler. Let me know if you're working on it with me. Oh, let's not split the thread. Yeah, I've seen some videos, Sphinx for Life, where they card it, they brush it and get it all going one way. I've seen some ladies on here live with that big rolling machine that's got all the little spiky bristles on it, and it brushes everything flat, puts everything together. It's just mesmerizing to sit and watch. So I don't know if anybody else is doing this cardigan, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and keep on casting on. If anybody else needs me to slow down so they can see this cast on a little bit better, yeah. I already did my mother a sweater out of this, and I know she loves it. It's got nice flow. It is a bamboo yarn, and I don't know how many stitches I already got on here. Stitches. Let's do 40. This yarn I purchased back before COVID, and it's been up here. It is a bamboo yarn, but there is no English on this label. None. It's very soft. It kind of feels like milk cotton, but it is a bamboo yarn. It's got nice nice drape, nice flow. Hi, Shirley. You just came in. We're working on the comfiest cardigan. I don't know if you wanted... Yeah, I should drop a marker every 50 stitches. That would make some sense, but I think I took most of my markers upstairs. And right offhand, I don't know where I put my other little ones. They're probably out on the dining room table for sure, because I got my other cardigan out there I'm working on. I have a vintage smoker's jacket that I'm making, and I have a colorwork cardigan that I'm working on. I have a Ronald Weasley knitted square blanket I'm working on. I did a live this morning. I started making some books. What else do I got going on? I got washcloths that I'm making for my husband. Of course, I always have granny squares going on whenever I have a little bit of scrap yarn left over, and I don't want to ball it up and have a ton of little balls of yarn everywhere. I will make granny squares out of them and put them in a bag. When I get enough of them done, I make something with them. 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What I could do, F4 knit. I don't know what I did with it. Yeah, it is a pretty red. It looks kind of a reddish orange on here right now, but it's not. It's more of like a fire engine red or a candy apple red. Something else that you can do to help keep track of your stitches if you don't have stitch markers. I'll just take this right here, lay it over my work. Make sure you don't, leave a great big loop. And it will mark 50 stitches. And then all I have to do is pull it out. Hurry, come on. I better hold on my stuff. 7, 9, 10. Yeah, use stitch marker. The dishcloth pattern, I think it's still, the link is still in the bio for my dishcloth pattern. So that was the one that we did last week. I'll do 10 more stitches. 2, 4, 5, 6. It's 20. Yeah, I think it was the even moss stitch that we did. Was it? In the dishcloths? The only thing about this yarn is it does want to unply as you're doing it like this, because I'm kind of untwisting. But I'll count all of these stitches over again. I'm going to take this out of the way before it gets me all kerfuffled. I'll just count them all again at the end. If you do get to the end and you don't have enough yarn, don't try to work to the end of your yarn, because you need to catch that yarn in, otherwise these stitches will unravel. Always leave about this much so that you can work it back in so that it doesn't unravel. If you don't have enough stitches, you can always knit on more stitches, and I will show you how to do that right now, because I can take these out. Let's say you've ran out of your working yarn and all you have, or ran out of your tail and all you have is your working yarn, and you need more stitches. I'm going to show you how to put more stitches on here so you don't have to take out 200 stitches to redo a long tail cast on. Okay? If you were going to start knitting again, let me get this to come into focus up here. Pull this here. This would be your last cast on stitch. You're going to go in there as if to knit it. Okay? Do a knit stitch. Pull it through. Right? And then take what you just, let me do that again because this is catching on this here. I don't know, I might not use this yarn because it's starting to be a pain in the butt. Get the cast on done, it might be alright. Go in here as if to knit. Pull your loop through. Okay. Normally this would stay on this stitch and you would knock this one off, but you need more cast on stitches. So you take that and put that over onto here. And you've got another cast on stitch. It's another form of cast on that you can do. It's a knitted cast on. You start with one stitch and you just knit, and you keep putting stitches on as you knit. Again, this one here was the one that I just put on there. Go as if to knit. Take that and put it right back over on the left hand needle. So if you ever run out of yarn on a long tail cast on, you know, anything more than 60 or 70 stitches, you don't want to have to count all those stitches again. You can cast on extra stitches this way. So this is another reason why I wanted to share. Even some of the more experienced knitters are like, oh, I was when I first saw it. I was like, oh no, got to take the long tail out. And I'm talking, sometimes I did blankets, double knitted blankets with 300 and some odd stitches, which I have a double knitted blanket going as well, helping another person through a pattern. And I'll probably do some lives working on that so you can see some of the stuff I do, because I just like sharing my work and showing you what I'm doing. But I will be teaching from 8 to 10 every Tuesday. I can teach some as we go through when I'm working the other lives and stuff. For the cardigan, specifically this one and other ones. Yes, I am right-handed. If you, I don't know, as far as my camera's coming through, I'm looking at it just as I am looking, you know, at my hands. This being my right hand, this being my left hand. I have done color work projects where I knit with both hands. Because doing color work and having to trap floats, I can't have both hands in the yarn guide, or both yarns in the yarn guide. I will have both hands going. The pattern I'm casting on is Mama in a Stitch. Mama, M-A-M-A-N-A Stitch.com. I did put a link in my bio. The pattern is on Pinterest. The one she has on her website is a free pattern. They do have a printable PDF, but that one you have to pay for. So I'm just using the free pattern from Pinterest. Actually, it's on her website, mamainastitch.com. And I also have the link for that in my bio. If you go on my profile page, down at the bottom, it will say Linktree, Alexander 56. That has all the links there for the class, the patterns that I'm using now, the patterns that we used in the past. As long as I can keep multiple links up there, I will. Learning on YouTube has been interesting. Yeah, I'm sure it has been interesting. Now, I can knit backwards. So if you need to see the knit stitch done in the left hand, I can do that. So from right here, I can show you. I'm going to cast on with bigger needles and bigger yarn, and I can show you a left-handed knit stitch. Let me grab these. I might have... No, those are out there. Give me just a second. I have one of those. It's not an over-the-door shoe organizer, but it's one of the plastic ones that you just tip your shoes down in. I got it hanging up on the wall, and it's full of knitting needles. I'll have to snap a picture of it and share with you. Oh, you haven't braved anything more than scarves so far. What is your concern about going further than scarves? So you know the knit and purl stitches. If you want to watch a video and you're left-handed to learn how to knit, take your phone, face it away from you at a mirror, and watch the mirror. You will see it left-handed. So that might be helpful too for people who are trying to learn on their own and they're left-handed. Watch your phone in a mirror. You might be able to flip the screen as well. They have that technology now as well. I don't know if you can flip a video that's already ran, but I do know that you can flip your screen to go from right to left. But I don't know if that helps with left-handed, the actual technical way of doing the stitches. But yeah, so I got a good bit of stitches to cast on, and I haven't got anybody saying that they're making this pattern. Is anybody making it? Anybody wanting to do it along with me, or are they just watching to see if maybe they want to do it? The pattern is only knit and purl stitches. If you know knit and purl stitches and you've mastered those, the only thing else that's on here is increases. Oh, you're doing good for holding 2 needles. Yeah, this is all about your pace. Okay, we're not trying to rush. There's not a certain amount of rows that have to be done a day. If you are interested in trying it, you know how easy it is to just rip it out if you don't like it. But yeah, I found that this sweater is very easy to make. For an avid knitter, it depends on how much time you have. I'm an empty nester. I have no kids, and I'm home all day long. I have all the time in the world. You could probably get it done in a couple of days. It's not that much, for a more experienced knitter. But yeah, and I have a picture of that one that I did too, the comfiest cardigan. I did 2 of them. One is in like a muted green, rose garden, and white stripe. And the other one that I did is white and dark chocolate brown. And the other colorway that I used from Red Heart was called Reef. And between that white and that dark chocolate brown, it made those teal colors in the Reef colorway pop out. Witchy, you're making another cardigan too? Oh, you're making one of these comfiest with bright stripes? I mean, if you want to try it, please do. If not, and you just want to watch, that's fine too. But yeah, I don't want to take up the whole teaching class to do something that, everybody doesn't want to try and do. I'd like to have the majority of everybody, in agreement on what we want to work on, because basically I want to tailor the class to the student, not to me. Oh, you're a crochet fiend, Holly. How long have you been crocheting, Holly? Oh, 15 years. What kind of things do you crochet? What's your favorite thing to crochet? I like to make, I've gotten into, just last year making sweaters. I've done, adult sweaters. I've done baby sweaters, blankets. Right. I like making blankets. That's one of the things that I want to get into this year too. Making blankets. I want to do some double knit, and I'm going to do up some patterns. I've already got a couple patterns wrote up. I just need to get them, trying to build a website so I can put all my stuff on there. Kind of like a little art gallery type website. Just show off stuff and sell stuff. Well, when you first start knitting, it is a little different than crochet. Of course, you're working with 2 needles. Your tension takes a little bit of time. I've known a lot of people who have crocheted for years and go to knit and get upset because, oh, their tension's off. But, you know, you're using 2 hands instead of 1. Yeah, your tension comes with time. And, you know, it's only a matter of a couple of days, really. Blankets. What type of blankets do you want to do, baby girl? Knitted blankets, crocheted blankets. Do you guys want to do a grafgan? We can do a crocheted grafgan. I'd like to start you out with things smaller than doing a great big huge blanket at once, especially starting a new technique like a crocheted grafgan. I'm doing 208 stitches on this because I'm using a different yarn, Shirley. I'm not using the recommended yarn for the pattern. They recommend worsted weight. I'm using almost like a sock weight or smaller. This is a size 1 yarn that I'm using, so it's more of a lace weight yarn. What size cardigan did you want to do, Shirley? Oh, you get frustrated? Yeah, I used to get frustrated too. My comments got a little slow. Audrey, you're making a miniature blanket. Are you doing that real fine thread and real tiny needles? Oh my goodness. I can't see to do that type of stuff. My mother does a lot of doily type work, and she uses that mercerized crochet cotton, that like size 3, and I can't even work with that stuff. It is way, way, way too small. It hurts my eyes. It hurts my hands. I don't know, several times I've given my mother my steel hooks, and I've needed a steel hook, crochet hook, to pick up a drop stitch with this smaller stuff. So I finally got myself another set and just kept them over here. So, and I'm going to double check this once I get it done here. I have to count these stitches in a little bit. But yeah, just before, we got about 12 minutes left. Oh my God, a 0.05. Oof. I would need 2 magnifying glasses. One to magnify the other. That's tiny. But as far as next week's class, I'm going to show you a striped corner to corner, which you can use to make a larger size blanket. I'll also, if you want to go on with the corner to corner, we can. If you want to learn the grafgan technique, we can do that too. We will do blotches of color first. That way you can see how to change the colors. Because normally you use bobbins and you know, blocks of thread. But I can show you all of that as well. It just depends on, you know, if everybody could give me a, hey, let's do this, or hey, let's try this. It makes it easier for me to plan the class around what you want to learn. And I'll count up all these stitches here. I know I need more than that. And I might have to do that cast on thingy there because I don't think I pulled out enough yarn for the long tail. But, well, I'm glad you found me today too. Is that Bubsy? Yeah, make sure you give me a follow. I'm here every Tuesday from 8 to 10 teaching crochet and knitting. We are starting a big knitting project, so I'll probably be doing a live and just knitting on the live so you can see how I'm making this sweater. I am going to show you some of the things that I have already done and that I'm currently working on, because we got like 9 minutes left in class, and I wanted for everybody to have a chance to say, hey, let's try this next week. I have part of the sweater in here. The other part of the sweater is out on my dining room table because it's what I'm currently working on. I've taken a pattern that is a Fair Isle pattern, and I will cast this on when I get done class and get this to go into. And altered it to make it a vintage smoker's jacket for my husband. And I have the back and the fronts put together, but I'll show you this pattern that's on here. It's gorgeous. And this is all just knit and purl. Where you put the knits and where you put the purls. That's the only 2 stitches other than a yarn over in knit. And with knit, it's just manipulating how you do those stitches. What order you do them in, where you put them. That's all. And the bottom of this sweater, and I have dogs, so, and because this isn't a commission, I will clean all this off later. But the bottom edging, they actually did a purl row in the middle of the knit row, because this gets turned under and sewn back, and it gives a nice, let me pull this back so you can see this, a nice smooth finished edge. This gets seamed down this way. So Bubsy, you know how to knit and purl, correct? Or are you doing knit on both sides for your scarves? But yeah, I'll be showing this. I'll do a video and just show this when it's finished. But yeah, it's got the neckline here and the front pieces, shoulder seam. But yeah. And I also have, pull this out. This is the colorwork cardigan that I'm working on. This one's going to my sister when I get it finished. This one here. This one is actually the bottom band, and it's got a slit in it. And this is the... This cardigan was supposed to be one solid color with garter stitch ribbing at the top. And I don't like plain. It's either got to have stripes, it's got to have a pattern, or it's got to have lace work in it. Always got to, take the pattern up one level more than what it is. And this is what I'm working on. I'll have 22 inches of this. And then from where the sleeves break off at the underarm all the way up to the shoulder seams, there is a garter stitch ridging, which gives it texture. You have the tension down pat, yeah. Oh, which of you, this is your favorite? Yeah, this is easy to do. I mean, work on a small colorwork project first. I always try to start people out doing a little square. Let's try a little square. You start on a small size project and you do it on a small scale, and you don't have, this is on a 60-inch circular needle. This is the whole sweater all the way around, front and back. Do. So I'm working this actually in the round. It's all connected. It's all connected. One big loop. But yeah, I always start people off with the smaller projects, like the corner to corner. Start off with a little small square. Get the general basics of corner to corner down, and then add to that. So we did the general basics of a corner to corner. Next week, we'll do a corner to corner with a little bit of striping. If you want to go ahead and make a corner to corner blanket with different color stripes in it so you can practice the color change. If you just want to do coaster size so you can practice the color change, I can show you how to do that. Whatever scale you want to do it on, you know, we can work on that. But I always want to start people out on little small projects. And the thing about this is, if you do these squares, you have a granny square, you have a corner to corner square. Maybe one week we'll do a square with color work, or we'll do a double knitted square. All of these squares that we make, don't get rid of. Don't pull them out. You can take these and put these together, sew them together as a blanket, and you can show your progress in your craft with these squares. I've done that with several people. And, you know, you're practicing, you're not wasting material. And like I said, it all can get sewed together and you've got a nice blanket. So this one will go in with my granny squares. It'll probably get sewed into a blanket somewhere along the way. My favorite thing to do is baby stuff. I love baby blankets. They work up fast. Baby sweaters, baby hats, baby booties, everything baby. I'll show you one more project before I jump off of here. And this is one of the sweater sets that I've done a lot of. And this too is a free pattern. It was on, I think it was on lionbrand.com. It is the Buttery Soft Baby Set. And it has got a sweater, hat, and booties. These are the little, let me take this out of the way. These are the little booties. And again, this is called the Buttery Soft Baby Set. You can search it on Google. It'll bring it right up. And these are just adorable. To display them, you stuff them with cotton balls or something. And they're just gorgeous. And then the hat is a tam style hat. It's a little flat top hat. Little flat top hat. Nice little stretchy knitted band there. And then the sweater. And these things, oh, I think probably take me not even a day or two to do one of these sweaters. They just work up so quick. Works up from the top down. You start up here around the collar. It's a little raglan sweater. The sleeves are done down to here. And then you break off and do this and come back and do the sleeves. But yeah, quick little set. I love it. But this is what I like to do. I like to share the work that I've done. I like to share my skills and little tips and tricks that I've discovered along the way. I'm looking for that bag to put this back in here to keep it clean. But yep. So next week we'll continue on with the corner to corner Afghan and do a stripe. Or a corner to corner square with the stripe. If you want to continue on with a blanket, if you have the basics. If not, we'll do it again, because we're going to do another stripe next week. And yeah, tomorrow definitely I'll be back on working on the cardigan. I'll probably do 8 to 10 again. And I might come back on after 11 alive again and work on that cardigan. So that way anybody who has any questions that are working on it, if they come across anything, you know, I'll be back tomorrow, so I won't make you wait till next Tuesday. And any large projects that we work on together like this, I'll probably do lives throughout the week, but I'm only going to do one large project at a time. I got too many going already. And I will only work on mine during the live, so if you need help, it'll be during the live, or, you know, I have links in there for my Facebook Messenger. I can also message with you on Facebook Messenger and help you if you need it. So, yeah. But it is just slightly after 10, and we are going to end for today. I thank you all for coming out and joining me. And again, Tuesdays from 8 to 10. My spot at your spot. Come learn with us. Happy crafting.